Hello, welcome back. We are going to go ahead and move on to a new signature, or our first signature, but I want to revisit what happened in the first video when we were doing the outside of this. I had punched a hole right here, and the little punches, I got really lucky. The little punches that were laying around on my desktop had the nose of the weasel, so I pushed it back in, and then I secured it here on the underside so it's not going to go anywhere. I also changed these here on the front to some smaller brads. They don't have as long of a tail, but I think I glued down inside here and then I taped it. So they should stay. I also taped underneath of this. I ran a strip of 3/8 of an inch tape so that this would stay pretty secure. And then it clasps perfectly. So again, if you are so inclined, then go ahead and follow the instructions on how to make this. And if you don't, use whatever ribbon you choose. I would have chosen a beautiful taupe that's got just a glimmer to it that's gorgeous, and it matches the craft paper really well. The other thing that I did, remember when I told you to hold on to some of these pieces that had the plaid pattern on the back? What I do with them is I cut 3/8 of an inch, a 1/2 inch, and I cover the internal, plus I give myself a guide marker on how wide my signature will allow to be without it infringing here on the hinge or here. So that's what I did with those. Now we're going to go ahead and move on. Let's get in here first. This is what I chose for the base page. I love this scenery. I can just see skiing through this, or hiking. I think it's just hunting. It would be great. The back side of this had the weasel with the cabin in the background, and then there's the mountain scene. So this measured at 8.5 inches across by 8 3/4 in the height. And then we're going to have a pocket, 2 small side flaps, and then we're going to have a large open flap. This piece I'll show you how this looked, because this is what I used. If I can get my hands around this stuff. I do believe it either went like this, or it came off. No, this is the top. So this is off the bottom. And there should be 2 more corner ones. When you trim this out, we're going to be using them. So what I did is I cut so that there was maybe 1/16 of an inch around this for a frame. I trimmed off all of the beige trim on both of these, as well as this down here. So then we use what was cut off on the bottom down here for a pocket. And then we're using the side strap pieces that we have here for a little side pocket. And then the 2 extra corner ones are getting used in here. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's get this measured out. This ends up being right at 3 inches by your 8.5 inches. And then put this here in this corner and walk it across. And then I'm going to glue this. No, I can't do that yet. Do not put this down yet. Don't. Let's continue with our flaps. Now, I'm going to show you this. I'm trying to be conservative because when we get to cutting into this cardstock, there's all kinds of pieces laying around. I had a piece that would allow for a 3 5/8 by 8 3/4 with a 1/2 inch score and a 5/8 score. But my next one, I came up short. So to get to 3 5/8, I had to cut a piece and then did my 1/2 inch score, my 5/8 score, and then I put these together so that I ended up with 3 5/8 in my overall. If you want to do the same, this is going to be 1 1/8, and then you're going to score it at a 1/2, and you're going to score it at 5/8. So then you will tape, you can either tape it over the top or tape it to the underside, but you're going to tape this here. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's get these put on. I want you to bring your work right up to the 1/2 inch score line. With this having a pocket on it, we want a little extra room. That's why we're doing a 5/8 score. And I want to reinforce this, and getting it to bend is a little on the hard side. There we go. Because I want this to stand up right here. Okay, and then this one's going on. We're doing the same thing. Oh, I forgot my tape. Well, what is... Okay, so this will go on here. We'll bring it right up to that 1/2 inch score mark. And then we'll push it back. Okay. All right, so now we're going to work on, there's a flap that comes in on the top, and that has to be done first. So we're going to center this, and because I want this to be on the top, we're again going to bring the work up to the 1/2 inch score line. Now, this is going to be long. Okay, so I'm hoping it's not going to be too long. No, it's going to come right to the bottom of this signature. And then I want to get this centered as best I can. So I'm at 1 1/4, and I'm at 1 3. So I'm just going to push it this way just a smidgen. Hold on to all this. Okay, I think I'm good. Now, what we need to do is get our magnet set. Okay, I've got to think this through because I need to make sure that our magnet... So this is the piece that we're going to use for the inside. And then when we first cut paper on one of the back side, you will find a totem pole. We are going to trim this off. I cut it right off at the feather. And we're going to trim this off. And then this is going to... I've got extra layer here, so I don't want to put it behind this piece of paper because then it's got to get through all the layers. So I'm putting my magnet here on the back side of this. There's plenty of room. This is going to be a tuck. There's plenty of room. You don't need to always bring things to the top. In fact, just the nature of things, it's going to fall down here. So we're going to put it here, and then we're going to close it, and it'll end up pairing up down here. So to do that, that means this needs to go down. Okay, so I trimmed it out, and then, like I said, I cut the feather off the top because it just didn't look right once I got it all trimmed. And I'm taking tape across the bottom and across the top, and I will put a smidgen of tape here. Okay, I gotta think this through because I just put this down. So this is gonna go like, okay, well, here's how it's gonna have to happen. Let's put this in here. We're gonna center this. And because the bottom is basically square, I'm gonna measure off of it. So I'm just about 2 1/8. Oh, I got it pretty good there. I'm not going to worry about this bending right at the moment because it's going to be just fine. Then I'm going to, well, that's going, I put the tape on the wrong side. What a meanie. Okay. All right, so now I'm going to close this. And I make sure that this hinge is squared up because it should not go past the base of this. And there we go. Now we can go ahead and finish the inside. And here we have a nice tuck that you can put some things in, and a great use of the totem pole. I love this paper here. Okay, so we're going to finish this on the inside with this same paper. Okay, I'm confusing myself. Bear with me for just 2 shakes. This is going to go here. Oh, this is going to go on the front. Okay, there it is. So here's this piece. These should have been the green pieces. Okay, I'm missing something. There it is. Okay. Sorry, it's really early in the morning for me. Okay, so using the same wood grain, we're going to cut for the side panels, and then that piece that got cut off off the bottom, we're going to use that to frame in this. And you know what? I don't want to regret this. There's a magnet there, and this is a significant piece. So I am going to tape this. Because if I have to make adjustments, I want to be able to do so. Okay, so now this is done. I've got to flap that under so I can work with this. Okay, and then we've got these two pieces here, and I'm going to glue them in. Okay, so then here, we're going to make a little pocket down here on both of these, and this is going to measure in right about 3 3 1/8. Please double verify your measurements on the width. You're going to go from just in front of this score line out to the edge, and I can see already I am off. So because I've rounded my corner, I'm going to match this up. I know what I did. I matched up to the 1/2 inch score line, and that's not what I should have done. So I am going to just trim this, no big deal. Which means I took all my tape off. So now this will sit in here, which means I'm going to need to trim this down a little bit. No? How did I manage that? I do need to trim it down just a smidge because it's too tall. So then it's going to sit in here like this, and then this is going to sit in here like this, and we end up with a nice pocket. Wow, I don't think I had enough coffee this morning. You know, I always say in my videos, I'm not perfect. I make mistakes, but I'm not going to cut my videos to hide the mistakes. We're crafters, and it happens to all of us. Now that's not what I expected. There we go. And then I'm going to set it in the rounded corner, and there we go. So then we have, I double up on scenic, but that's okay. It shouldn't be any big deal. And then this one is going to go over here. So I need to make sure, and I taped the wrong side of this one. Actually, I'm using the wrong one. I should have used the other one over here. I'm going to get sneaky here if this will work. I don't want to ruin or lose my tape. So use a little bit of undo. And if the tape will separate from the paper cleanly, like it just did, you can then use it on the other side. So here again, I cut to the 1/2 inch score line instead of the 5/8. So I'm going to trim that off. And a lot of good it did me to save the tape, because I'm going to have to tape this. Make sure I'm taping the right edge the way my morning's going. Okay. Oops, 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 oops. Okay, so then there's the inside, and then these are the panels that we're using on the outside. And I'm just going to simply glue them on. And this actually uses one entire 12 by 12 to cover the outside of the flaps. And then another 12 by 12 to cover the inside of these flaps. And there was a little bit left over of that 12 by 12, which is this piece right here. And I'll be using that somewhere. And then, so this is what we have for the inside. Nice pocket, little pockets, gonna close these. And then we've got the last piece, which is this one. And with the magnet being on the underside, I can glue this. And I did round my corners with a 1/4 inch corner round. And there we have it. That took 3 12 by 12s. Okay, let's get some tape on the back of this and let's get it in our album. And then I'm going to very quickly walk you through how I'm going to lay this out. For the rest of it so you can pull your paper. Just a second, I gotta cap that off. Okay, so this will sit in here like this, and that's what I use this for, to make sure that I'm not building it so big or so tall that when it turns over that it turns into this hinge. We don't want that to happen. So we are good to go. I'm going to go ahead and pull this one, and this one. Okay, so top to bottom, make sure that I'm going to turn it this way because I want to make sure I'm even top to bottom. Very good. Okay, let's get the rest of this removed. Hell. Sorry about this. The paper tore. Okay, let's get this burnished. Okie dokie. All right, so now what I want to do is I want to go over with you the kind of my flow, what I'm thinking about doing. So this will be, and I may switch these up, but I want you to pull these papers. This will be for the front of the next signature, and this will be the base page. This will be the front of the next signature, and this will be the base page. Front of the next signature, this is the base page. And then I'll be using the top part of this for the next signature, and this is the base page. I'm trying to match this up with this here. Next signature with the base page. It's kind of a, I don't know, can you see that? Okay. And then this will be used for the next signature with this bark for the base. And then the very last one will be this with this, complementing the moonlit on that. So that's what I'm setting aside for my base pages. And then that means the remainder of the paper we will work with to create additional flaps and tucks and everything else. So again, I apologize for my mishaps here, but I will get it together for this one. I'll see you then. Bye-bye.